Hey there, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how I laid this bomb.com lace closure unit with this blunt cut and what I like to call my unicorn color. Stay tuned, I'll have that information in the link below if you guys want to know how I did her color. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my MUA/model, Anna. Ladies, go check her out. You can follow her at Anaisa Artistry. Here we have our braid pattern, something very simple. Middle part with about 6 to 8 braids going down the sides and the back. Something simple she can maintenance at home and doesn't have to worry about having too many braids to take down, being that it's a wig and she's going to be taking it off every day. Here we have the mesh stone cap that I love, as well as I'll show you guys how I like to size the unit for placement. I simply start by using a white eyeliner pencil and drawing around the ear. The nape area I like to mark off, as well as the area in front of the ear. I do 3 simple marks in the back to show where I will place clips for her to put the wig on and off every day. And I'm just along the other side doing the same thing that you can kind of see in the mirror back there. On top of that, I like to go to the top and simply place where I'm going to lay the lace closure. She's getting the middle part, so it's very simple, not hard, just placing it in the middle, and it would be the same if I did a part for the side. As I lay the cap on top of the canvas head, I like to start with the back or the nape area a little bit higher up. And as I sew, the higher I get as I sew, I like to bring the cap lower back down, which you guys will see. Now I'm just laying the tracks, pinning them with my T-pins from ear to ear. And as you start to sew, there is a spandex band inside the cap. You do not want to put the needle and thread through the spandex band. You keep the needle and thread only on the outside of the band, only going through the mesh, not actually penetrating the band inside. As I start to sew on the right side behind the ear, I do like to start with that initial knot as I start to sew the tracks, just to give it extra confirmation that there won't be any slipping and just that it will stay nice and tight. And as I sew, I like to do about 2 stitches and then a knot. So about every 2 stitches, I'm doing a knot. As you can see here, I did a slow motion of how I like to do my knot. It's just you go around the needle 1, 2, 3 times. And as I pull through, I like to come through the hole that I created, which is kind of caught off camera. I do apologize. But I pull the needle straight through and pull it down. This ensures I can do a sew in pretty fast, the knot stays very tight, and it just helps for time efficiency, and it lasts very well. As we continue to go up by the ear, I do like to slow down here, and I want to show you guys how I like to flip it over. Very simple, easy, nothing that I don't think we've run before on YouTube. As we take our time, we just make sure that it's nice and flat. And I do about 2 or 3 knots right behind the ear just to confirm that, once again, it's flat and it is stitched very tightly. And once again, we have here where we have come back to the ear one more time, just flipping from side to side. As I do this last track, it'll be the last track that I'm doing on the spandex. And this is only because I only have 2 packs of hair, which you ladies may be working with more hair, so therefore you can kind of do more tracks laid on top of the spandex area, but I was just doing this for the sake of saving space. As I come back to the other side here, I am going above the ear and a little bit in front of the ear. Just like I said, once again, I'm working with a little less hair, so just to make sure I have enough coverage, I'm going above the ear, and I'm just going to go ahead and flip that over. That way I have enough coverage and enough fullness in front of the head and not too much hair behind the ear. And now, like I told you guys, is a good time for me to take the cap off. I'll put it on and I'll scoot it down just a little more. I like to do this because it helps my tracks lay pretty flat. I don't know why or where I got this from, but you'll kind of see what I'm saying. As now you see I put the nape area a little far down, it lays really nice and flat. And I'll do this about once or twice because you can notice the cap is still kind of far down on the forehead. As I move up, I move the cap back each time. That just ensures that I get the tracks in the back pretty flat. And now I'm just continuing to keep sewing around and around, same method, horseshoe method, back and forth. Now that I'm approaching the right side again, I do the same thing I just did on the other side. Very simple. Do my little stitching, a few knots there, and then when I come back around, I'm just going to make sure it's flat again. And I'm going to go down and continue the horseshoe method like I did before. And as I'm sitting here watching, I'm just loving the way the colors are coming together. Again, ladies, don't forget, I will have the description and the link before for you guys to check out that coloring technique. And now before I start to flip the next track, I will once again take the cap off, scoot it back down a little bit to give it a more natural lay versus how as I had it farther down on the forehead. And again, I said this just helps me to make sure those tracks in the back are just a little bit flatter and laying really flat, and you don't have a bulky unit. So as I continue to stitch, this is now where I'm starting to fill in the horseshoe so that it's becoming more parallel, more horizontal versus as before it had the horseshoe effect. I like to do this because as I get my way to the top of the wig, once again, it avoids having a bulky unit. As I get about the middle of the head, you can see that now I'm filling in that horseshoe and I'm not going all the way to the rim of the cap as I did before. Now that we're up more towards the temple area and the crown of the head, you can see how that horseshoe shape is no longer in effect and it's more of a horizontal shape. Just showing you guys so you can see how I keep my wigs to lay nice and flat. At this point is when I like to go ahead and lay the closure piece. It's totally optional. You can choose to lay your closure piece before you even put the tracks on at all. But this is a fine time for me. As you lay the closure piece, you want to keep the front about a ½ inch in front of the actual cap. So lay the closure piece about a ½ inch in front. That'll be space for you to sew your spandex string. So you're going to leave it about a ½ inch in front. And you'll see why later. As we complete sewing the back of the wig, you do not want to sew around the back of the closure piece. You simply stop before you complete the other side. And now that we come to the other side of the closure piece, it's the same thing as we did at first. You want to keep it about a ½ inch in front of the stocking cap, or the dome cap. And you're just going to sew the same way we did, but this time we will go around and complete sewing the back of the lace closure. I'll continue by filling in the extra space in between the closure piece and the last tracks that I sewed in. At this point, I'm also just trying to fill in a little bit more of the space in between to create less of a horseshoe look and more of a horizontal look for my tracks. I don't want them to lay in the horseshoe shape anymore. I would prefer for them to lay horizontal so that they lay according to how the closure is laid. You can see that the spacing in between has become pretty even and it'll be nice and flat. And at this point, I'm just laying all tracks straight and horizontal. For the last track, I will slightly curve that piece up just to fill in that space between the last track and the closure piece. You'll see a slight little curve right there just to close in that gap and make it more seamless. There you have it, we're all done. Let's get some clips on this bad boy and let's cut her up and flat iron her and see what we're working with, okay? These are my favorite wig clips, or some call them wig combs, whichever you prefer. I just started by sewing the first one right there in the middle, and I'm going to sew 3 on the back, and I'll show you how to do the front. I don't know why the wig clips in the back wanted to give me the hardest time, but nonetheless, I pushed through and I got them done, and I will just show you ladies how I move forward to put the clips in the front. In total, I used 3 of the large wig clips in the back, and I used 2 of the smaller wig clips in the front, 1 on each side of the lace, right above the ear, so that it's not irritating the temple area. Now's a good time to go ahead and cut off the excess cap underneath the lace. It'll relieve the pressure from the spandex band and give your unit a way better fit. To complete the unit, we'll add a ½ inch spandex band to each side of the lace closure piece, where we left that ½ inch space in between the cap and the closure piece. You can cut the band in half and tie it into a knot to fit the shape of your head or your client's head. And there we have it. There goes our finished look. Don't you just love it? It's so cute. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Later, babes.